Now that we're into the replay, we're looking at Caps. He is just a trickster playing on Syndra here. And if we reveal the Fog of War briefly, you can see that he is up against a Fizz, an assassin in lane who you might think is kind of spooky in the early game. But actually, you need to have a plan when you go into game, and you need to act on that plan in order to win your lane. And here, the plan might not be obvious. Caps knows it, but do you? Beyond getting this early chunk on the Fizz here, and unfortunately Thresh wasting his Ignite for no kill, Caps knows that he needs to pressure the Fizz all throughout the early game, because while Fizz does not have all of his mobility spells, Syndra has the advantage. It is the exact opposite of what most people think. You might think that you want to farm and play safe in the lane, but that is exactly what you don't want to do, because you are giving an assassin a free lane and giving them all the time in the world that they need to hit their level spikes in order to pressure you. Think about Fizz's level 6. It can absolutely destroy Syndra, especially since he's immobile. If the fish lands, he's probably dead, and so he needs to do something before then. And right here from level 1, you could see that Caps is massively shoving the wave. He just sank 3 Qs into the backline wave in order to shove it really hard and put Fizz in a position where he can be pressured. Right here, he uses his E to pick up the minions and set up the wave so that he can farm under tower. And because of that, Caps gets several autos in and a Q for harass. You need to make sure that every single moment that you get in the early levels is used to abuse your range advantage. There is no time for you to waste, and you always want to make sure that you're hitting them with every ability and every auto attack you can. Don't sacrifice CS for it, but still pump out the damage. You need to apply that pressure. You saw the Fizz is just about half health, and this is because of all the harass that Caps has put onto him. And now he wards just to make sure that he can't quite get ganked from the Gragas on that side. Now here, he does take a bad trade, and it looks pretty rough for him, but Fizz used both his summoner spells. He actually ends up dying here to the Graves because the jungler was close by, but that was some really sick, perfect mechanics from Caps. He used his corrupting potion as well as his biscuits in order to sustain through the ignite and damage that Fizz was bringing. That isn't really something that you're expected to replicate in your games. That was literal perfection, but the lesson is still there. You need to be able to bait them out into bad positions in fights that they can't win because you're pressuring them so hard. Caps actually has teleport here, but he chooses not to he chooses not to teleport back to lane because he just simply walks back after the jungler killed him. He could have simply run away and teleported back to lane to continue pressuring Fizz in the early game with basically nothing lost. That would probably be how you would play it out, because you're probably not going to be mechanically perfect, because if you were, you wouldn't be watching this and you would already be rank 1. Now that Fizz has died and the lane's back even and everybody's back in, you can see that Caps is not letting up on the pressure. And it's not just because his jungler's there. You can see that he is simply winning every trade. He is well over 100 health above the Fizz. And it's actually a fiesta here in the mid lane with 3 people showing up. Thankfully though, they do manage to get some kills, as there's just a numbers advantage there, and while Graves does die on the end side, they get the larger end of the stick. They get 3 kills for 1, and that's pretty good. Still, remember the lesson is still there. You could have chunked out a Fizz like that in your game if you went aggressive on him. You gotta remember that you have the ability to disengage with your E, as well as the fact that your E plus a Q could stun, and your W also slows too. Next lesson is managing the wave. We saw that Caps shoved the wave in at level 1. That's pretty basic and doesn't require a lot of thought, but there, Caps did something really clever. Let's go back and go over it once more. So you can see here that the Fizz is dead and that Caps wants to shove. He's again queuing the backline, and he's trying to pick up every CS that he can. He uses his E2 to push even faster, and then he picks up the cannon and throws it into his tower. This does 2 things. One, it lets his wave crash into the enemy tower, which will deny minions faster and could potentially cause a slow push that Caps can then freeze on. Beyond that though, it also guarantees that he gets the cannon minion killed as fast as possible so that he can recall as fast as possible. The extra tower shot damage causes the cannon minion to die that much faster, and having those seconds saved allows you to make another play in the future. This is exactly why he does what he does, and you need to do something like that too in your games. You want to stretch every single lead and advantage that you can get, whether it be by picking up cannon minions and throwing them into your tower like that, just to make sure that you get a right recall, or it could just be shoving the wave at the right time and then causing it to bounce back to you so you're still safe and can continue to harass people in the early game. Now that Caps is back into the lane, we can see that he picks up the melee minion to make sure that he grabs all the CS and cause the lane to come to a freeze directly in the middle. From there, he decides that he wants to shove in because Fizz roamed to the side to go get a ward. Now Fizz jumps on top of Caps, and he's doing that sort of thing again where he's not playing afraid. He does initially lose the trade and misses out on a couple Qs, and that's okay. He finally got outplayed by the Fizz once in this lane so far. Even afterwards, he manages to land literally everything on him and still wins the trade out in the very end because he landed a very nice skill shot for his E-stun. Even when it looks bad, you can always turn things around and make it look good if you have the ability and the mechanics to do so, and that is exactly what Caps is displaying here. And this is the sort of thing that you need to practice for. Once again, not playing afraid is your key strength. Caps immediately baits the Fizz into a bad fight because he's so close, but he just knows that the Fizz has no hope of killing him. This causes him to waste his Ignite, and now that he has his Ignite, he has zero chance of killing him. There was potential for him to die, say if the jungler came by, but now that he's got no Ignite and he has an advantage in lane, he can easily shove it out and then recall. This is the first time that we see Caps actually make a mistake by committing his abilities every single time he goes to push. The Gragas recognized that it was a pattern, but thankfully for Caps, his jungler was nearby and could save him. They all managed to get out, just barely, and he even tries to harass the Blitzcrank just a little bit on the way out. From here, he does make a small mistake in not running away, and the Raptors will chase him out and prevent him from recalling sooner. Kinda sucks, but it's okay. Now, as you can see, Syndra is currently level 6. Caps has a full level advantage on the Fizz. He is going to TP back into the mid lane here and start pushing that advantage. And you'll see when we get in the lane, Fizz is still level 5. There is no hope for this man to get anything meaningful done. Caps manages to snag the kill there at the very last moment with his Q at the maximum range and kills him yet again. This causes Fizz to get shoved in once more for like the 5th time this game, and he's just getting absolutely demolished by the superior wave control, mechanics, and trading that Caps is showing here. There's been basically no danger of him dying the entire game, and while things may have looked close, you gotta remember that he's stretching things way further than you ever could need to. Like we mentioned earlier, he has teleport, and could have simply backed off when getting low at any point earlier in the game and used his teleport to leverage his advantage. After somebody burns both of their summoners, like Fizz did at level 3, he could just teleport back and not have to worry about anything. By now you can see that the levels are really starting to run away. He is effectively a full level ahead. And now he can easily pressure the Fizz because he has his flash and Fizz does not. You could tell that this normally won't happen in your elo because if I had to guess, I would say that you guys probably don't get blue buffs often. And I mean, hey, I know that in Grandmaster and Master, I rarely give blue buffs over to my laners unless I really trust them. Caps gets engaged on, but as you can see, the Fizz's damage is so pathetic that the enemy jungler needs to show up in order for the kill to be secured. All he needed was a little bit more time, maybe just another second or two, and he could have easily disengaged off of the Fizz and potentially even killed him. This was a little bit of cockiness though, as he should have flashed the Fizz ultimate in the first place, or potentially used his flash to try and get away from the Gragas ultimate. Taking a freeze frame after that death, let's check the timer in the game. Currently, we are 9 minutes in, just about. Let's take a look at the CS, the items, and the kills that have gone so far in this game. We've mostly been just analyzing exactly what he's doing, but let's see tangibly what the lead actually is. And pulling up the scoreboard, you can see that Caps is 24 CS up with 2 kills and 3 assists and the death that he just got, to Fizz's 3 deaths, 2 assists, and 42 farm. Looking at just the gold difference, he is currently 1,200 gold up on the Fizz. This is a massive difference, and you can see it in the items. Fizz has 2 amplifying tomes and a dark seal. Syndra almost has a full Ludens. This is a massive difference. This has only been 7 minutes, actually really 6 minutes because the game seriously starts at about 1:30, that have gone completely in Caps' favor the entire time. This was all because his plan was to win lane and pressure Fizz over and over from level 1. You could see it when he shoved the lane in at level 1 using 3 Qs on the backline minions. You could see it when he never let Fizz have a free farm, constantly auto-attacked him and throw his Q at him. And you could see it when he never backed down from a trade, knowing that he would win it because Fizz would constantly take damage as he tried to disengage, and he would always win the extended fight because he just has more healing available to him and space with his flash. But anyways, as always, my name is Ace Windstorm, and I will see you all later.